Hey everybody, what's up? So I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm an avid reader before going to the book reviews, and I think it's something important. The main reason is, when I was a little kid, I'd be read to by one of my parents or my sibling who was older than me, and, in school, as you learn more and more vocabulary, you start to read more. Well, in my case, I did, and it just got to the point where I'm reading all the time. Very, never a big TV person. Love watching movies, but, I'll always put a book, before a movie or a video game. Especially when it's something I can really, really get into. And I think, in part, maybe that's why I kind of like visual novel type video games, because you do more reading than anything else. And it also has, depending on the game, has a problem-solving, feature to it. Kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure type thing, if you've ever read those books. They're fun, but, you do have that association with trying to work something out, like you did in a mystery book, where you're like, I wonder. And I am a speed reader. My mother was one, and then she's still alive. She just doesn't read as much. My sibling is as one, so we can get a lot of reading done. Both as we're younger and as we're older. And I remember in one of my high school English classes, our teacher was like, okay, so every quarter or whatever it was, read so many books, pages, I'm trying to remember which, and you'll get bonus credit. At one point she's like, Nick, I don't have to see what you filled out, because I know you read plenty enough. And I hated that semester of high school because we had to do this thing about career, and I'm like, this is not right. So that, I didn't like that paper. I hated it. I wish I could have written a little bit better. But yeah, having those that extra credit really helped. I wasn't paying attention to it. I should have taken it more seriously. But yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? And you're like, reading, whatever. And the other moment was, I think it was I can't remember which Sherlock Holmes story it was, the original stuff. And she goes, everybody read this story. Nick, read whatever you want. She knew I already read it, because I had like a couple of books and nothing but Sherlock Holmes stories. And she seen me reading, so I'm pretty sure she knew I read. And even without having read the material, I could still answer the questions. Even like in high school, like when we were assigned to read books, and it'd be like, okay, read XYZ chapters, and we go, nah, screw this. I would have read the entire book, had the entire book read probably before the rest of my class, because I'm sure a lot of them were going, all right, got to read these chapters. I'm sitting there, like, first day we got, oh, criminy, I have that book around here somewhere. All Things Fall Apart. Was that the right title? I think so, yeah. And I wish I'd found it before I made this video. Didn't think about that. I read it, like, the first day we got the book, the teacher was like, okay, read XYZ chapters. And I just read it, like, in one day. I read the entire book. And I'm going, okay, I'm like done before the rest of my class. It's a pretty good book, I read all the way through it. Same thing, any book that we got assigned, I just like read it within the next day or two. Same with college, did that as well. So I'm always reading constantly. I have my e-reader, 2 e-readers, my phone. Yeah. I'm constantly reading. I'll have a book in my backpack for when I go to work, if like waiting for my shift to start, or maybe I'll be, like, especially if I have an appointment, one of the doctor's offices I go to, it's really hard to get signal in there, so I can't sit and read the news if I want. Sometimes for some reason books won't pull up right, so I'll just be reading the book from my bag. Have a book in the bathroom, which sounds a little weird, but yes, I can read multiple books at once, not bragging. So yeah, that just comes from my childhood, and there are YouTube channels that I watch that they talk about different books that I might want to read. There's a YouTube channel I like to watch called The Arkham Reporter. It is about Lovecraft and, different works that, he inspired, stuff like that. And don't give me any crap about Lovecraft. I understand he was a total racist. I am against that part of it. When I started reading his stuff, it was far, far before I knew this stuff came out. So please don't give me crap about that one. I don't agree with his racist views. I don't agree with a lot of it. I do still enjoy a lot of his work, though. There's some that I won't read because, yeah, after looking back, I'm like, yeah, I can see how this was racist, so I don't read that stuff anymore. But I like to read the stuff that, associated with it, that people wrote because of him. We know there are plenty of people that were inspired him, like Stephen King. I'll be talking about King, actually, because, like I said before, I'm going to be looking at authors, whether it be short stories, novellas, whatever. And King actually has an interest. I'm not going to mention it yet. It's not going to be one of his probably more famous known works, maybe because you might have seen the movie it's based off of. Now that narrows it down quite a bit. But I'm going to be doing at some point in the future a comparison between the two, because I like the short story, the novella, more than I like the movie. The movie was good, but you know how movies end. They rip them apart somehow, and they don't work it in the best way. There's another King movie that I'm going to be getting my hands on at some point that I want to reread, because it's one I'd forgotten about until I was on eBay looking up something else and it popped up. So there will be that. So just keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of different stuff on here. I'm going to talk about stuff that, maybe I read back in high school. Even in high school, I was not reading a lot of the books in the library, barely any, because I was buying my own books with my own money from a local bookstore. As a kid, when I had the money, I'd buy from, those book fair things. So, a lot of time, a lot of books. And I got told at one point, you need to save your money rather than buying books. I'm like, I'll have plenty of money for that. I do. And I still, but nowadays, I wait to find used books, because a lot of the books I can now read, I think either digital at a really low price or find a used book. Less Than Zero is a book that I've been wanting to read, and I finally got a good price copy of it. J.G. Ballard's High Rise, which I found a decent price copy of that. And I'm going to be talking about some other stuff along the way, especially about buying used books. Maybe in next episode I'll be talking about that, focusing on. But I just want to give a quick rundown on my love, how I became such an avid reader, my love of it. So I'll talk to y'all later. Take care. Bye.